Right, let me just, for the purposes of people who are not as old as me, because I'm old, and obviously Steve's old too. I know Andy's quite old, but not quite as old.
I feel better now you've said that, Ian. Thank you.
So just remind I saw every minute you played in a City shirt, and really enjoyed watching you play. I saw your blonde locks flowing along as you went around like will-o'-the-wisp, and always gave 100% of effort. And I personally, genuinely, I know the danger is whenever we have an ex-player on and I say nice things, I'm just saying it for effect, but it's just not the truth. The truth is that I absolutely admired you and was a fan. I mean, obviously they weren't the best of times for City, but I love watching you play. Just tell us your story, because you are a proper Blue from being a child, and you presumably dreamed of playing for City, didn't you?
I did, and hey, thanks very much as well for the compliments. I've not had anything like that said for a long time, so I really appreciate that. And I'm actually, Ian, I'll return the compliment and say I am a fan of yours and I do enjoy listening to you. But the amazing thing about you, Ian, is that me and Steph always say, we don't go to the games that much because I'm living in Florida. But whenever I do, I don't see anybody else. But before I know it, you're right there with a microphone. Steve, have you got a minute? I don't see anybody else. You know, I want to see other people. But Ian, you find me out. If I go to Wembley, you're there. Wherever it is, you're just always there. So we always get a kick out of that. But yeah, I was born into a Blue family. And so I had really no choice except to be, you know, a City fan. And my brother really was the one that got me into the game, because my brother Anthony was like 7 years older than me, and I always looked up to him. And he always said, if I learned anything from anybody how to play the game, it was from him. And I always think when you make it, it's always about timing, being there, the right time, the right place, somebody having some faith in you and giving you an opportunity. And even when you're playing bad, to play the next, and he never really had that. And so I always looked up for him, and I was always playing against older players as well, because with him being 7 years older than me, I was always like with him and playing with all these friends as well. So I think that, not at the time realised it, but that was really good for me as well. So we go to the games, and obviously, and even the times I couldn't afford a ticket, I'd go to the games, and I just loved being even outside Main Road, listening to the roar of the crowd. And I'd just be there outside the game, listening to it, obviously wishing I was inside. And then in those days, like the kip-acts, you know, the last 10 minutes, you know, people would start leaving the game. So as they were leaving out, I'd just do whatever it took to get running up those steps and catch the last, 10 minutes and watching my heroes. And like I said, I just loved the game.
What was it like then when you finally got to pull a sky blue shirt on in anger?
Well, do you know what? I was lucky where I got signed for City when I was 14, schoolboy forms. And they said to me at the time, you know, we want you to sign schoolboys now, and then, sign apprentice when you're 16, and then sign pro at 17. And I remember when, Tony Buck and Bernard Alford actually came to the house to sign me. And there was about 50 people outside the house, because like there was a Jaguar outside our place, and nobody had ever seen a Jaguar around there. And it was quite amazing, honestly, to have all those people outside the house, like it was like the Queen had just come. So I never forget that. And like I said, they said signed 16 apprentice, pro at 17. And when I got there, the first thing that I remember, I mean, you're there and you're walking in now to a dressing room now, and now all of a sudden you've got pictures up on your walls of players that you idolise, and now the next minute you're in the sort of like, you're not in their changing rooms because you're with the apprentice and the reserves at the time, in the two dressing rooms, the away, and then you've got the first team dressing rooms. But I even remember the times you'd have to you know, when I started as an apprentice, and you have to go in and you know, clean the boots and you know, pick the kit up, and just to going through to see Roy Bailey, who was the physio at the time, you know, because some of the senior players were just brutal, and it was tough. You had to have a very tough skin to come through in those days as well.
Who were the brutal
you know.
ones then, Steve?
I'm going to save that when I write my book, Ian. But you know, I just remember. I remember, you know, one of my jobs as well. Like I said, I was cleaning Joe Corrigan's boots, and Joe's whatever size 12, 13 shirt. Of all the boots I've got to clean, it's Joe's, and I was spitting on them, cleaning on them, giving them the best. And he'd come in and he'd go, "What's that? It's not good enough, and I don't want those studs. Change the studs." And then he had this thing, Joe. He'd come in and just hit the apprentices. He hit me on my arm so hard one day, I couldn't move it for about a week. He hit it was I sort of like can still feel it now. And so just funny times like that. But the thing is, like I said, you really didn't even want to go in the changing room at the time. But then I started getting into. I was very lucky as well, because, like I said, Malcolm was there at the time, and Malcolm Allison loved me. He really did take to me, and I always thought if he would have been there a little bit longer, you know, he would have played me in the first team. And I think that actually, I mean, and the things, I think what Malcolm was trying to teach at the time, I see a lot of stuff then. What Pep does. You know, he wanted to encourage the players to play out of the back. He wanted the centre halves to get the ball if you've got spacing, like you see Diaz do today and John Stones. If they've got space in front of them, they run into it with the ball, comfortable with the ball, and they commit somebody. As soon as they commit somebody, then they play it to one of the midfield players. And that's what Malcolm was trying to do, you know, years ago. So, you know, I had a lot of respect for him. But what happened then, it actually became to hurt me. Because when he got the sack, John Bond came in, and you remember, you know, the first, it was like 3 or 4 days later, he saw me in my first youth team game, and I was doing well in the youth team as well. And I remember, I think we were playing like Bury away, and we were winning 1-0. I think I scored as well. And he come to me and he says, at half time, he walked in and he says, "Who's Steve Kinsey?" And I put my hand up like that. I'm thinking he's going to say, "Oh, great goal, well done," and everything. And he went, "You," and I can't. There'll be too many bleeps here, so I won't put that in. But he basically said, "You keep playing like that, you will never play in the first team as long as I'm here." So, you know, I always look back at things and I go, I really did have tough skin to be able to just go, you know, forget about it and get out there and play the second half. And at that time as well, it's not like we had even players that would come up to us and go, "Oh, take no notice of him." You know, you're basically on your own, you know, and that was tough as well. But and at the same time, I have to thank John Bond as well, because 8 months later, he gave me my debut against Wolverhampton Wanderers away, and we won 3-1. And to pull on the shirt then was just unbelievable, because I thought, wow, I've actually got here to the first team. Unfortunately, you know, I didn't play that great neither. But I just remember more about the game than anything. I felt shattered. I think it was the adrenaline of just being out there then. And I just remember being shattered. But at least we got a good result and we won 3-1.